Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm CJ. In this video, I'm going to be guiding you through my board game collection. There's been a lot of requests to see this, so I hope this is interesting to you. It's a big mess, and I've got a bunch of things stacked behind other things, so I'll have to put this camera down periodically to kind of pick things up and move things around. So let's start. This is the collection. It's in a little bit of disarray right now, so please hopefully ignore some of this. I am going to go through this, I guess, level by level and kind of explain what's there and why it's there. And, you know, if you see something you wanted to talk about in the comments below, let me know. If there's a game here that stands out to you really liked, or if you want to know more about, maybe you want a review of it or something like that, I could do that. Just let me know. So let's take a look. All right, so over here up in the corner, I've got a bunch of things. My collection of Vampire Rivals. I actually have two sets of this. It's a game that I enjoyed for a little while. I think it's actually got a really cool aesthetic to it. Oh my God, let me try to get this out without killing myself. This might not work. There's stuff up here, oh God. Ah! Okay, so Vampire Rivals, kind of like an LCG. It's got, you know, deck of cards, you've got your vampires, and you've got your locations. Basically, the locations are going to kind of come out of this deck, and everyone's got their own, like, factions they're interested in, right? It's supposed to be a 4-player game. This is a wacky 4-player game where you are supposed to be like, there's a little bit of negotiation. It's kind of like capturing some of the Vampire the Eternal Struggle stuff, but it streamlines it. But it didn't really, it's okay. It's fun. It just doesn't do everything I wanted it to do. It has some weird fiddliness to it that makes it hard to get to the table. I taught some of my friends and we played it a couple times, and it just, you know, they had fun, but it's a long game, man. This game's long for like literally no reason. It doesn't need to be this long. But anyway, it's a fun one. I did enjoy it. I've still got it, and that's why it's way up in the corner over here. And I'm gonna try to put it back without killing myself again. All right. Isle of Skye. I'm a fan. This is a demo copy. It's actually was bought used, but Isle of Skye, I really like this as kind of a tile laying bidding game. You kind of like set the price of your tiles, and then people can pay you for them, but if they don't, you get your money back, I believe. It's been a little while since I played it. This is an Alexander Pfister game. I did enjoy this one, but it's one of those games that for some reason my group isn't super in love with, and so it's hard to get to the table. A couple people just flat out don't like it. I'm not sure why. I think it's a fun game, but whatever. Let's take a look up here. I got more vampire stuff. I really like Vampire the Masquerade. This is Vendetta. This game, I think I'm one of the only people in the world who touts how awesome this game is. This is a very strange, kind of almost a bidding game. Let me see if I can show you guys. This is a very weird one where you're kind of like, you have a deck of cards that is your faction, and then there's these locations on the board, and there'll be different kinds of like vampires and stuff that'll be there, and you're basically kind of bidding for them by placing your vampires on those locations. But then like the vampires, they like resolve their effects in a clockwise order, which is a really weird thing. It's kind of mechanical, but once you figure it out, it's pretty sweet. It feels a little bit like playing 3 or 4 games of Dune Imperium's combat phase at the same time. Is kind of what it feels like. But it's really cool. Every faction is super different. It's not terribly perfectly balanced. It does feel like this was like, you know, one of Bruno Faidudi's like lesser known games that he really wanted to get out there. And but Charlie Cleveland's also a really good designer. He contributed a lot to this. So basically what happens, what's interesting about this game, I think, for me, is that there's a bid of blood, and then there's like this mechanism where you can cause people to lose blood and go into a frenzy, and then like consume their points and go like lose points, essentially. It's a fun game. I really like it. What else do we have up here? Blue Lagoon. Blue Lagoon of Reiner Knizia. Yeah, it's like a classic now. I really like this one. It has sort of Sorry, with the weirdness of my boxes not being lined up. You're basically placing your tokens out on the board and trying to create long chains and get on the islands and collect these different resources, and the different resources score in various ways. And then there's like a break. There's like a half phase where you basically score, and then you pull all the pieces off the board and you start again from your like huts. So it's kind of cool. It's got this neat two-part to it, and it feels pretty different. It's very similar to Babylonia that Reiner Knizia also did, but it's kind of like a simpler version, but I like it. All right, let's see here. I've got Res Arcana. Res Arcana, now I just basically play this on BGA. It's just easier to get to the table, you know, easier to play online. Really fun game. I like it. This has all the expansions in it. It's got, you know, it's got the Pearli Imperii, and it's got the demon one, which I can't remember the name of, Shadow and something. But anyway, this one's really great. It's basically like a better version of Splendor. You're turning resources into other resources, and you really kind of have to pick your lane and like go for something. But there's a lot of interaction. Yeah, really like this game. It's never leaving my collection. I think it's just like a classic now. All right, let's move you out of the way. Stay there. Love Letter. Love Letter. Yeah, I mean, I don't have this much to say about Love Letter. It's a fun game. I have like the coins for Seven Wonders Duel, but I don't have Seven Wonders Duel. Long Shot. Oh, I took out Psychro. Sorry, Psychro. So Long Shot is an interesting horse racing game. There's a new one, Long Shot, the dice game, which is very fun. I played that one as well. And this is basically the one that was based on. And it's just super weird, like almost mass market appeal. Like it's got the rules printed on the board. But basically what you're doing is you're betting on horses, rolling dice, buying horses, hoping they win, and playing cards to mess with them. It's really straightforward, and I got this one for free, actually. It's one of the free acquisitions I've got. But I played it a ton. I've introduced this game to a lot of people, and it's been a big hit with them. So I really like this game. I like betting games, even though I don't like betting in life, but it's one of those weird things. All right, let's go on. Heaven and Ale. Heaven and Ale by Kiesling and Schmidt. This is probably up there in my favorite games of all time. This Eggert Spiel production is really interesting. If you've never played Heaven and Ale, I highly recommend you give it a shot. Like, it's definitely one of the most interesting and unique scoring systems I've ever seen. You've got this like main board where you're moving around like this rondelle. It's a once a round rondelle, and then the round ends, but you basically go and move your piece, and you are picking up resources. They're essentially, you're basically making your brewery, and you're trying to get like the best ingredients for your brewery. Your main player board, you have a light side and a dark side, and when you place things on the light side, they cost double, but if you place them on the dark side, they cost normal amount. And then like the light side one is one you really want, because that moves your pieces up this board, this track. You've got like your 5 ingredients, I think you're 5 ingredients, maybe 6. And then you got to get them all in the scoring area up at the top. It's really wacky, but it's a tight game, and it's not that long. It's like maybe an hour, like and a half, maybe less than an hour and a half. Really fun. Deus, Sebastian Dujardin. I don't know much about this game. I played it once. I mean, I know about it, but it's, I don't remember where I got this game. I got this game from a friend, I believe, or maybe, oh, it was a demo copy. This was one of the used games I got. I played this once. It's very used. It's pretty fun. It's like an engine builder that you stack your cards and then you run your engine. And there's a little bit of area control on the board. And yeah, it's cool. I remember liking it. But I haven't played it for a long time. I have lots of games like this. It's one of the reasons it's up here with all these other ones. I don't get these to the table as much as I'd like, even though I try to get these two, especially up to the table, like a lot, because they're some of my favorites. So let's see what else we got here. Roma. This is an old Stefan Feld game. It's like a 2-player head-to-head battler with cards and dice. Some things you'd expect from a Stefan Feld game. It's okay. Like, I got this and I was just like kind of interested in what it was. I heard it was okay. It's fun. I have Imperium Classics and Legends. It's not actually in that box. Let me show you. I hope this isn't like super messy and you're getting like OCD, because it's making me have OCD right now, this entire process. Okay, this is actually my copy of Imperium Classics and Legends. It is all in here, all that stuff. I really like this game, but it's really hard to table. You can't play it with like more than 2 people because of how absolutely like time consuming the game is. I'd say like, and it's extremely fiddly. Man, I really wish this game was shorter, a little bit more streamlined, and it would come to the table all the time. And a little bit better for like a 3 and 4 player game, because it's good at 2 and it's a great solo game, but I don't play solo games all that much. So the 2-player game it's like 2.5 hours. Like for a card game that's just a deck builder, it's fine, you know. It's like I can't justify playing a 2.5 hour 2-player game really anymore. Get up there. Anyway, all right, so we've got some more stuff here. So this is kind of like the large box pile. This is not indicative of whether I play them or not. Concordia Venus, which is just Concordia with the Venus expansion. I really like Concordia. I'm a big fan. It was one of the earlier games I got in my collection, my earlier Euro games. Played the crap out of this game a lot, and yeah, it's still good. It's still fun, and sometimes I bring it out, and you know, it depends on the group, but some people don't like it anymore for some reason. I don't know. I'm gonna put this one down here. All right, I don't want to show you the rest of my messy room. Let me get that out of here. All right, Inis. Oh boy, I've got the original box Inis. The new one's smaller and has like less wacky art. I love this art. I think this is like such a phenomenal game. This was one of those games that when I was also getting into the hobby, it was played maybe like 50 to 60 times. I mean, it's heavily used. Oh God. And it's a weird, wacky game about not colonies, like the indigenous people of Ireland and their myths and legends, and it's got these crazy cards that have amazing powers on them. It's a drafting game with area control, and the fun thing about this game is it's like there's no points. You get like a victory condition, and if you have a victory condition, you can win the game if no one else has the victory condition, so they have to like one-up you or take it away from you. So it's a really good posturing game. There's a lot of fun stuff to be had in Inis. I love this game. It's never leaving my collection. It has a very important role in my gaming life. So let's go up here. Cyclades, or Cyclades, or whatever you call it. I got this game used. We played it once. This one did not. I know this is a big fan. There are lots of people who are big fans of that. This is another Bruno Cathala game. I liked it, but we got to a weird place where none of us could actually make any progress, and every optimal move was to push the person back, and then we kept on doing this circular like movement thing, because if we didn't, the other person would win. It was really weird. So anyway, basically it's a bidding game where you're bidding on powers, and then you're using those powers to like send out your troops and conquer locations, and this is a dudes on a map game. It's fine. It was fine. It's probably gonna leave my collection eventually. All right, Lost Ruins of Arnak. This is a heavy box. It's got the expansion in it, one of the expansions. I do like this game. It's on BGA now, which makes it a lot easier to get to the table, obviously, or the virtual table. This is one of those games that I was super interested in, and the problem was like Dune Imperium came out at the same time, and so I just didn't play it as much. I played Dune Imperium, but Lost Ruins is still a fun game. It's quite enjoyable. It's a little long for what it is, and it's a little bit too multiplayer solitaire. That's my opinion. I really like interactive games, and this one was not as interactive as I was hoping, but it's still really fun. I still enjoyed it. All right, so we've also got Beyond the Sun. Boy, I really like Beyond the Sun. I really do. I don't have the expansion yet. I need to get that. This one has been played a lot. The board, this game's notorious for how like ugly it looks. I don't really think it looks that ugly. I think it's sparse. It's about technology and stuff, so it doesn't really bother me all that much, and I hope I don't drop things. But But yeah, it's a worker placement game. You have one worker, you carry out an action, and you're like researching these tech stuff, and then you have this like sideboard where you're kind of colonizing planets and stuff. I love this game. This game is so good. It's so good. I'm gonna put this back up here because I'm not gonna show you War of the Ring board box. It's not actually in here. The actual board is in here, but as I am wont to do, I have the big mat, the big whatever deluxe game mat, neoprene game mat. This thing makes the game so good, so fun. I mean, it's still a great game. My War of the Ring set is actually like in process of being painted. Let's see if I can show you. So here, ignore the Tyrannosaurus, but this is like Gondor is being painted. This is their base. They've got their base paint on, and I'm going to do that. And I've got like some of the elites here, kind of being painted. They're in the process, and then like the dwarves are down here, and here's a dwarf. This one's done. But yeah, that's my life of War of the Ring. I've been wanting to get this game played more, but unfortunately, like, I'm painting it. I wish I hadn't painted it, honestly, because it's taking so long. Anyway, let's go back to the games. All right, so let's start here at the bottom. I'm not going to grab all of these out because they're stacked pretty high, but Santorini, great. It's a 2-player game, but you can play like 3 players. It's fine. It's a kind of classic game by Roxley. Renature. I actually want to show you this game, but I don't know, like drop everything on my head. Renature is a abstract domino game with like an area control aspect where you're like controlling these like gardens and controlling the gardens basically for points, but you can like neutralize other players' pieces. It's a really mean abstract like area control game that I love. I really love this game, and I think that it's an underappreciated game. I really do. There's so much in it, so much strategy and depth that the box and the like nature kind of aspect of it, I don't think does much of it a service. It doesn't do a service to it. It messes with your conception of what this game is. That it's going to be a breezy, like nice game, but it's extremely mean. I have Fog of Love. I picked this up because the Shut Up and Sit Down guys recommended it. I was compelled to get something that my wife and I would play together, and we played it a couple times. It's fine. It's very easily gamed. It's not a extremely deep experience, but it is fun. And you obviously make more of it than the game is because it's a relationship game. So it was a lot of fun. I haven't played it in a while, but Cosmic Encounter. I mean, what can I say? This is a classic game by the same designers as Big Dune. Yeah, I don't have any expansions in it. It's just the base game, but it's quite enough for me. This is Rise of Ix's box, although, oh my god, this is awful. I hope you guys don't get mad at me for being messy, but doing Rise of Ix, it's just the box. Obviously, the main thing is in there. All the stuff is in there, and then the extra Ix stuff is like down there. I guess those are like the base game cards because I've been playing Uprising, so yeah. Sidereal Confluence. Sidereal Confluence is a completely wacky negotiation game where you're aliens and you're coming together and exchanging cubes. It's a cube pusher. You're changing cubes into other cubes to make cubes and points by getting planets and stuff. It's weird, but it's a lot of fun because everyone's asymmetric and you can't use your own powers. It's fun. Grog Island. I will pull this one down. This isn't a great game, but it's something that I don't see very much. I haven't seen this game. I picked it up. I picked this one up at an antique mall for cheap, and it was in shrink. So we played it. This is a bidding game where you're using dice to bid, and then you like basically take a power from a ship, and then you send your guys to. They're like pirates. They're like retired pirates. This is the theme of the game. You're retired pirates, and you're going and like setting up shop on these islands, and then you score points in various ways. It's okay. It was fun. I mean, it's what you expect. It's got the Clemens Franz art, which is just classic now. I mean, I think that the art actually makes this game better than it is. But yeah, Grog Island's fine. It's like maybe a 5.5, 6 out of 10. I'm probably gonna end up getting rid of it, but okay, game. Oh, Power Struggle. Power Struggle. Oh boy. So this is an oldie but goodie. Power Struggle is a very strange, I would say medium plus heavy. Like it's light, heavy light. Oh god, light heavy. Does that make sense? It's like less than heavy. Area control business game. And you're fighting for control of these different agencies within a company. I don't know if that's the right way to put that, but they're different divisions, departments, and you are placing your guys out there and putting these little like workers, but then you can like force people to lose their workers or to move to different offices, which would close offices and stuff like that, and then force like other people to give the power of that department to other people. It's got this weird deck of cards. It's like events that come out that kind of tell you what's gonna be affected that round, and then you're basically trying to climb up these tracks and get to points. And then once you've achieved like a certain amount of points, you have one like secret objective. Once you've achieved that secret objective, you reveal it, and then people can like block you or something for that round. But it's just like, it's crazy. It's a really strange game. I played this just once, and my group liked it, but it has some freaking weird stuff in it. It's got this one mechanism where you are actually like bribing people, and in order to bribe people, you put your money in an envelope and you slide it across the table, and then they have to look at it and decide whether to take it or to reject it and give it back to you. It doesn't really work if you're using things like the iron clays, because obviously it's like bulging, so you can't use that. And I hate using paper money, so we used like cups, and you put the money in it, and then you just kind of slid it over and looked at it. It was fine. It worked fine, but it's weird. This is like my Star Wars Destiny collection. Way back here is like dice all up here. Oh my god, so many dice. Anyway, this is Machikoro over there. Machikoro, pretty classic. I don't play it very much anymore. I have a copy of Space Base, but that's actually being loaned out as well, so it's not here. This is an old Osprey Games, Escape from the Aliens in Outer Space. Let's see if I can show you that game, because it's not that common anymore. This is kind of a weird party game where this is like the worst box. It doesn't show you anything. Like some people are aliens and some people are humans, and you don't know who's who. So it's a secret identity game, and you have this like pad, of a ship, like we're all on the ship, kind of like in Nemesis, and you're going to be moving around the ship by using dry erase markers to tick off where you've been, and then other people are going to be telling you that they moved or how far they moved and like different kinds of things they're moving to, different kinds of locations, and then you have to check off where they are and try to figure out where on the board they are so that you're not too close to who could be an alien. And then when an alien's on a space with a human, they kill them and make them an alien, and then they go. It's like a last survivor kind of game. It's okay. I played it a couple times. It was a big hit like maybe 6 years ago, or maybe not even that. Anyway, Mythos Tales. This is a version of Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, but it's got like the Lovecraft theme. It's got some pretty creepy stuff in it. We played through that. It's pretty fun. I liked it a lot. And that's the top row. That's the top row. I'm gonna put some stuff back. Put some stuff back so I don't forget what I'm doing. All right, we're on to the second shelf. Ooh. This is Ra. This is the new 25th century edition of Ra, one of my all-time favorite games. Beautiful production. Just like, this is the basic one. This is not the giant fatty one that has like the even bigger tokens. No, this is the retail version. But you know, this is one of the nicest retail versions I've ever seen. ever. It's just so gorgeous. Great game, great bidding game. I'll talk about this one later on the channel because it's in my top games. Via Nebula. So Via Nebula. This is a Martin Wallace game. It's kind of like a mini Brass. Let me see if I can get it out of here. This game is really fun. It is a route building kind of game where you are racing to get a certain number of points, and you're taking these resources and moving them to construction zones to build your things. And it's a bunch of nonsense in Fantasyland, but you know what? It's actually really cutthroat. And like when you play this game with like, you know, adult gamers, it's a blast. It's a really fun. I love it. I'm keeping it. It's a fun one. All right. Heat, Pedal to the Metal. Yeah, this is was a classic last year. Not classic, but a big hit. Oh my god. Taking this out. Heat. Yeah, not much to say about this game. It's a racing game. Hand management. I do like it. I played a lot of it. I'm not sure how much more of it I'm going to play. Maybe the expansion adds something that gives it a little more depth. But, you know, it's a fine, lightweight plus game for parties. Because it plays 6, so it's okay. It's not my favorite, but it's fun. Let's see, what else we got here? We have Ethnos. Ooh. All right, Ethnos by Paolo Mori. I am a big fan of Paolo Mori's games. You'll see some more of his in a minute. This one is an area control game that uses a kind of like, want to say Ticket to Ride-esque mechanism where you're playing cards from your hand or you're drawing cards basically, and you're playing cards to put out your tokens on this map. And if you have the most tokens there, you're going to score points at the end of the round, and you also score points for your sets you've played, and yada yada yada. It's what you'd expect, but man, is it smooth! It's quick, and this was a damaged copy. I got this one used, but really great game. I love Ethnos. It's one of my favorites. Like if I'm gonna play like a light area control game with 6 people, because it can play 6 people, I'm playing Ethnos. It's just so good. All right, now one of the prized gems of my collection, Fury of Dracula, 3rd edition. It's the Fantasy Flight version. Fury of Dracula it's all painted too, but Fury of Dracula is kind of one of those games that has a cult following in my group. Like we play this game once a year, and usually during Halloween or near Halloween, and someone new is going to be Dracula, or someone, you know, we try to switch it up to see who's Dracula, but we're not like super competitive with this game. It's just more like storytelling stuff. We love the role play. We love, like, you know, seeing what wacky stuff happens and how Dracula ends up getting killed or killing us. It's a lot of fun, and I can't say any bad things about it. It's maybe a little long end. Let's put that one back. But that will get played eventually later on. Hanabi. This is one of the few cooperative games I have. This is the deluxe version. I like this version. I mean, I like Hanabi. It's fine. It's enjoyable. But man, this version just has beautiful tokens. They're just amazing. And yeah, this makes the game a lot more fun to play, I feel. The cards are fine, but if you manipulate these tokens, it's just something so satisfying about the tactility of this edition. So yeah, Hanabi. You are going to go up here. All right, Kanban EV. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Kanban. I haven't played a lot of Vital Lacerda games. This is like the first one I've ever played, actually, I believe, and it's really in my wheelhouse. This is a 1 worker placement worker game, and oh my god, it's upside down. Oh no. Where you are essentially workers in this factory, this like crazy car factory, and you're building these cars and putting them out on this test track. Then you're trying to collect them and like trick them out. That's like what you're doing on a high level, but really it's a worker movement. You have your worker and you move them to a new location, then everyone's going to do that in order. And then we're going to resolve the actions top down. And then we also have Sandra, who's like your boss or your supervisor, who's going around and making sure that you're doing a good job. And if you're not in a certain department, if you're the furthest back on the research tracks, you're basically going to get penalized. There's like a friendly version where you could do it where you benefit the person who's ahead, but we never do that. But a lot of fun. Man, this game is really tight. It's really punishing. It's got a weird mechanism where you go to a board meeting and then you kind of like play cards that are like scoring cards, but you can use your tokens to also block off cards that other people want to score. Yeah, really fun. I love this one, and it's, oh god, it's very heavy, and it's got that Ian O'Toole art that I love. Okay, here's my Iron Clays. I don't need to really explain that. Dune Imperium. This is Uprising. It also is my set, my custom set of Imperium deck and intrigue cards and stuff like that. So more on that later. Terracotta Army. And I get this out. Terracotta Army. I'm a fan. I really like this game. Hold on, let me see if I can get it without dropping the camera. So you'll see like a lot of area control. This is an area control-esque game, where you are basically like controlling this the Terracotta Army. You're building this Terracotta Army together, but your guys are going to score in different ways, and so you're trying to get them positioned correctly in order to score a lot of points. Essentially, it's a worker placement game. You place your guys here, take the actions, yada yada yada. Great production. It's very dry. It's very abstract. I mean, there's a theme there, but really it's just it's an abstract area control game. And if you go into it knowing that, then I think it's going to be fun for you. But if you go into it thinking it's like this deep, like thematic Euro, it is not that. But it is a lot of fun. I really like it. It's a bit divisive in my group. Some people really like it, some people don't. Brass Lancashire. I want to pull this card, this guy out, but oh my god, this is gonna be very difficult. Brass Lancashire. Oh man, this is a well-loved box. Roxley did an amazing job with this production. It is, I mean, you know, if you haven't talked to me about this before, this is my favorite game of all time. It's just one of those games I will play anytime anyone else wants to play it. Love it so much. Everdell and Everdell Spirecrest. I'm not gonna pull these out. Everyone knows what Everdell is. Everdell Spirecrest is the expansion I prefer for Everdell. It's the one that makes it harder, makes it more punishing. I like games that are punishing. And it kind of increases the interaction. I mean, there's a lot of interaction in Everdell anyway. And I don't really like all the expansions all that much. They're fine, but they bloat the game a lot, and Everdell, it's hard to get to the table. So I try to keep it kind of either playing the base game or playing it with Spirecrest. That's kind of how I prefer to do it. Brass Birmingham. I have both Brass copies. Brass Birmingham. This copy has not been played yet, sadly. I played Brass Birmingham several times, but I have not played this specific copy. Very, very good game, though. Sky Mines. Sky Mines is Alexander Pfister. This is a remake of Mombasa. Oh, God. There we are. Mombasa, and it's Moonbasa, I guess you call it. But it's good. It's a great remake by Deep Print and Pegasus Spiele. It looks nice. The only things that are kind of weird about it are some of the card colors are a little hard to discern on your first go, and they're a little small, so when they're on the board, they're hard to tell. But once you figured out that there's actually an icon that makes it easier to see, it's fine. But great game. It's area control. There's a bit of area control. It's got stocks. I love stocks games. It's a very light stock game where basically moving up a track, and then that just increases the value of a particular company. For each of your stock you have. Very simple, very nice. Sky Mines, great production. Great Western Trail. Everyone probably knows Great Western Trail. This is the OG version, and it's got Rails to the North in there. Love it. I played it a lot. It's not my favorite Alexander Pfister game. I know it's a lot of people's favorite games of all time. It's not mine, but it is a fun game. I think it's a little bit too soulless at times. Just look at that guy. But it's fun. I enjoy it. It's a good Euro. Classic game now. Blackout Hong Kong. Blackout Hong Kong is one of those. Again, this is an Alexander Pfister. This is like my Alexander Pfister shelf here. Blackout's great. I like Blackout a lot. Actually, it's an underappreciated game. This is the original version that has the. Oh god! Oh, I just almost dropped the camera. Oh, okay, there it is. The original one that has the really black board. You can't see anything on. It's just like another weird game where you've got not kind of area control-ish, and you're playing these cards down and taking these actions, using resources that get rolled in order to satisfy certain cards and conditions and things like that. But the theme is really cool. You're like trying to help out Hong Kong. You're trying to fix it as it's gone completely dark, and people are dying and stuff. So people go to the hospital, and you got to get them out and stuff like that. So that's fun. Love this game. Blackout Hong Kong, big fan. Maracaibo. This is my favorite Alexander Pfister game. I am a huge fan of this game. Oh my god. You know what? I'm just gonna leave it there. This is the expansion as well, but. I think I would say if you are interested in any Alexander Pfister game and you've not played Maracaibo, give the base game a shot. The expansion adds like dual layer boards that are not needed for the game, but Maracaibo itself is very good. It has so many interesting elements. The Rondel is very similar to Great Western Trail. You've got some elements from some of his other games, Oh My Goods. It's kind of got similar things like there, but it's very fun. I don't want to pull it out though. It's under a bunch of stuff. Let's start here. Archaeology. This is a Phil Walker Harding game, one of his earliest designs, and it's a classic card game. I got this copy very cheap, and it's still done good. The box is a little bit worn, but yeah, well played. Mosaic. I love Mosaic. I played it a lot. This is one of the more highly played games from 2020, I believe. Maybe I'm getting that wrong. I also have the Wars and Disasters expansion, which I haven't played yet, but it's all in there and ready to go. But I played this game dozens of times, honestly. Very fun. Over the table, online. This is my Mosaic quick setup stuff. This is like the factions with all their stuff, just to get the game to the table faster. So that's helped a lot. This is just something I picked up over like Hobby Lobby for $6, and it's helped a lot. So Mosaic, Biblios, the Dr. Stephen's finest game, and his first game. And this is the game that helped launch Yellow basically as a publisher. Phenomenal set collection game. It has a little bit of a stock element to it, but not really. It basically, like, these dice are points, and you're going to be collecting them by having the most value in a particular set at the end of the game. But there's two halves to the game. There's like an auction is the second half, and then the first half is like kind of a push your luck kind of style game where you're assigning these cards to different areas for the rest of people to play or take. And yeah, it's just great. Really highly recommended. Something I'm going to talk about later on the channel. I think it's one of my favorites. All right, so we've got Hanamakoji here. Hanamakoji is a 2-player tug of war game about geisha. It's fun. I like it. Yeah, it's as you can see, it has a seal of excellence from the Dice Tower. It's clearly a good game. It is very light. But there's high interaction and there's a lot of strategy. The strategy is a little bit buried. The first time you play it, you're like, what am I doing? And then after you play it a couple times, you're like, wow, there's a lot of depth here. So I keep this one because it's so deep. Love playing it. Skull. We have Skull. Kind of a bidding, push your luck-esque game. Good party game, up to 6 players. This picked up Adventure Games Discovery, the story. Gloom City File. Excited to play this one. I have a really old game called Noir. This was like one of the earliest card games I bought. Kind of a weird game where you're like spies or something, and you're moving these cards around the board, and it's okay. It's fine. Let's see what we got here. We got Fox of the Forest. trick-taking game for 2. Let's go here. We got Radlands. My copy of Radlands. The box is somewhere else, but I sleeved the cards, and then they no longer fit in the box, so I put them in this thing. Caesar Rome in 20 minutes. Paulo Mori's games here. I got this one. I got Blitzkrieg. I really love these games. They're really good. Caesar's my favorite of them. Blitzkrieg is still fun, but I just usually rather play Caesar. This is Blitzkrieg. I got Royal Visit, which is a 2-player tug-of-war style game where you play cards and you try to get the king into your duchy area. It's pretty fun. This is a Reiner Knizia game. Very simple. Mandala. Mandala's up there with my favorite 2-player games. It's a card game where you like build up these areas and then you try to collect cards from the mountain in the middle. It's pretty cool. It's got this nice cloth board too. A lot of depth of play in this game. Yeah, really fun. That's a good one. I've got the Castles of Burgundy card game. This game is surprisingly deep and probably as good. Well, maybe not as good as Castles of Burgundy, but it's as complicated. And in some ways it's like a little bit more, there's a little more going on. It takes up more space than the actual board game somehow. Cards just sprawl everywhere, especially if you're playing like more than 2 players. It's fun though, I like it. Lords of Scotland, I got this, I don't know, I was on a card game kick, and it's okay. It's like a tableau builder. There's like some, I don't actually remember how the game plays. It's been a while since I played it, but yeah, it was all right. Let's go here first. Fugitive. This is a Tim Fowers game. This is a game about a 2-player game where one person's the fugitive and one person's like the cop or something like that, and you're trying to figure out where they are, and if you track them down, you win. It's pretty good. It's fun. Point Salad. Point Salad is classic now. I think this is one of the easiest, breeziest, up to 6-player games I have. It's just a deck of cards with, you know, vegetables and fruit on them, and you're basically trying to make points by collecting cards that make points. That's it. It's really straightforward. You're drafting cards. It's a good one. Condottiere. So I got this game on recommendation from Shut Up and Sit Down. And I kind of don't like it. I kind of think that it's a bit blah, honestly. The rules are, it's got like 2 sets of rules, and there's like a classic rules and like a new rules. It has a cool idea, and I really like the board, and that you're trying to get either like 3 regions that are next to each other or 5 regions total. It's pretty cool. But it's just sort of like a whatever card game. None of my group really enjoyed it that much. We played it a bunch of times too, trying to make sure maybe we're missing something, but it just didn't really hit with us. All right, I got Watergate. I think this is one of the best tug-of-war 2-player games out there, especially for the cost. Great game. I played this a lot. It's well loved. All right, I've got The Crew, not Crew Deep Sea. I don't have that one, but I have The Crew. I have Avalon. And the Resistance. Avalon is well loved, and the Resistance is in shrink because, I mean, I have Avalon, which is just a better version of that game, in my opinion. Then over here, I have a bunch of card games. I don't know if I need to go through all these things. Lunch Money, Uno. Some of these things are old games I had a long time ago, but I don't really play that much. Push. It's a push your luck game. A friend of mine gave me a game called Hocus. Which I think it was a local designer in Portland, and that's why I got this one. I played it a couple times. It was okay. Yeah, it's fun. Reiner Knizia's High Society, great bidding game, like just phenomenal. I love this version of it. Great art. A couple fun games. Quiddler, So Clover, you know, the things you'd expect. This Choman Richess House expansion is actually like, it was destroyed. My friend's dog ate part of it, and so she bought me an extra one. So this one's just like sitting here. I have Codenames, Bonanza, love Bonanza, Lost Cities. I have Micro Macro, Full House, and Crime City, the original one. I also have another one. I have the All In down here, which we're still working through. It's one of my daughter's favorite games. And Gangsters, which is like Ladies and Gangsters, an expansion for Bonanza. I've actually never used that, but Similo Animals. I have this like Les Rois de France, Kings of France card game. I've not played this. I just got it as a souvenir from France. It's interesting. This is a tarot deck from a friend of mine. It's the Sinking Moon Tarot cards. Ink and Gold. 7 Wonders down here. That one was actually also a gift I got from a friend a long time ago. I think 7 Wonders is a pretty good game. I just don't play very much anymore. Torres is a weird hutch game. This actually won like Spiel des Jahres. I don't know. It's kind of like a more complicated Santorini. I'm not gonna pull it out because it's not worth it, but yeah, it's got like towers. You're building towers and you're moving your piece around the board, and they can go through the buildings and come out the other side. And it's a little more complicated, a little fiddly, and the pieces fall over. It's okay. It's a fine game. All right, let's put all these things back. All right, we're on to the next shelf, and there are all sorts of fun things that I am excited to share with you. So let's take a look. Over here we have my new acquisition from this last year, Iki. This game has been a huge hit for my friends and I. Really glad I picked this one up. I have Revive, which is a new one I picked up. I played it twice so far, but not the physical copy. So this is a game I really want to table. I love the art in it. The game is kind of like a combo game. It's really fun. It has a lot of track moving and stuff like that. Stuff I like. So generally fun game. Marrakesh by Stefan Feld. This is a new one I have not tabled yet. I'm very excited to do so. I just got it. I have the Essential Edition, which basically is more cardboard and less wood pieces, but actually this is a smaller version. You know, it's the exact same game. But like the board's smaller, it takes up less of a table presence, and honestly, the player boards are laid out a little bit more logically, which is nice. So I like this edition so far, and I'm excited to table it. It's a fun one, I hope. All right. So a couple games in here. I'll go through here and then over there because it's just blocking stuff. Rococo. Rococo is a game about making dresses. It's a really good, really beautiful game. It's sort of a deck builder in a way, except for you can choose the cards from your deck to use during your turn. Weird stuff, but this is a Matthias Kramer game, Louis Maltz and Stefan Maltz. Yeah, this one's like becoming an evergreen one for me. I really love it. It's fun, it's tight, it has lots of interesting, it's like contract fulfillment. And yeah, it's just a nice one. This is the OG version. All right, what else we got in here? Unmatched Adventures. So all of my Unmatched is actually in a different location. I'm going to show you. Oh my gosh, all this stuff is a mess. So God, get out of here, Dune. All right, so all of these 4 things is all of my Unmatched. So these are all the boards and instruction booklets. This and this are all the characters and the decks. So I've got all that in there. And then so Tales to Amaze is my the newest one. I think it's actually the second newest one. I think like there's another one that just came out. That's a 2-player one. But this is the cooperative version of this game, which adds a bunch of cool characters and 2 big villains you can fight, Mothman and Martian Invader. You can play as Annie Christmas, Jill Trent, Nikola Tesla, and Golden Bat. I have played this one a couple times, and it's been a lot of fun. It's actually pretty hard, too. Fairly challenging game for what it is. At least I felt it was challenging. Yeah, but that was a good one. I'm glad I have all these. I collect all of these things. I love them. All right, let's go to the corner here. So we've got my copy of Viticulture and Tuscany, of course. This is just one of the earliest worker placement games that I bought. It is classic for me. I'm probably never going to get rid of it. I don't play it that much anymore, but sometimes I bring it out with like newer players, or like if I'm trying to teach a mechanism, I'll use Viticulture to teach worker placement. It also has like contract fulfillment, so it's really great. Yeah, and just plays up to 6 players, which is not usual for a worker placement game, and I think it plays pretty decently at that. I usually play it at 4, but yeah, that's a good one. I love Tuscany. Never play without Tuscany. All right, what do we got over here? So Hansa Teutonica. This is a game, a sort of a root building game where you are placing out your like cubes, and you've got discs, and they're basically traders and merchants and things like that. You're trying to basically control locations to gain points, and you're also knocking other guys off of routes and then trying to get the spaces on the routes. So like they have different bonuses for completing routes and stuff like that. But the thing that is interesting about this game, it is emergent gameplay. The players at the table really have to like figure out who's winning and how to stop them. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of strategies. There's a bunch of different maps. So this game for me has become like one of my favorites of all time. Just a really phenomenal game, and I'm glad I picked it up. So Hansa Teutonica, I've had this one for a long time now, but it's very good. Yokohama. This is now available on BGA, which is a little sad because it is fun to table. Yokohama is a Hisashi Hayashi game. Oh my god, jeez, this thing. Oh, there we go. I have all of them upside down. It's hilarious. So this game has an enormous table presence, and it looks like just like cardboard vomit on the table. But what it is you're kind of like placing out these little tokens, and you have a boss character, president, and you're gonna slide them along your like chain of like workers, assistants, and they go from place to place, and then they take actions where they stop, and the power of that location of your action is equal to however many assistants plus your president plus other cubes you basically have there, and you're essentially trying to do high level actions or high strength actions to gain points and resources and stuff like that. So it's a really interesting mechanism because there's a lot of blocking going on, and it's very difficult you have to plan several turns in advance. But I really like Yokohama. It has a little bit of that Mancala-esque aspect to it. Some people compare it to Istanbul, but it doesn't play anything like Istanbul. Yokohama. All right, what else we got in here? Some more contract fulfillment games. I love contract fulfillment and worker placement, of course. Let's do it this way. Marco Polo 2. This one's also, I think, available on BGA now, but I have a copy of it, and I really like it. I like Daniele Taschini and Simone Luciani designs. This is one of many of those I have. Speaking of which, there's a Simone Luciani game with Virginia Gili, Grand Austria Hotel. This is one of my favorite two-player games of all time. We have played the variants where you don't have to like, snake draft all of the dice. You can just play in player order. Yeah, it's a great game. Grand Austria. Love this one. Big fan. Put that there. I have some more Stefan Feld games. Here's Bonfire. Bonfire is a really wacky game. This one is about gnomes or something, and you're basically, I don't know. It's just such a weird, wacky theme. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but it is a combo-y game where you chain actions and other actions, and it's a little point salad-y, but it's extremely tight. Like, feels like an extremely tight game. It's really hard to like be good at that. I've never been very good at it, but I quite like playing it. Let me get these things out of the way so I can show you more games. What do we got in here? War of the Ring. So I like War of the Ring. I've played it a couple times, twice I think. It's never really hit with my group, and I think it has to do with, it feels like the game is kind of on rails. And I like War of the Ring, the big game, a lot. As you saw, I painted minis, or I am painting minis. The card game felt fun, but it's long, and it also it's not as satisfying. It's just not satisfying. It's an okay game. It's fine. Like, I'm glad that this exists, and I like it. I love the art in it. Of course, the art's gorgeous. It's a fun game, but I don't know if it's like, all that. It's okay. All right, where are we? Downforce. Downforce is a very simplified racing game. It's kind of a bidding game. It's like basically when I can't play Heat or I have a younger couple kids who want to play or whatever, we'll play some Downforce. It's super easy to play. I have a bunch of maps. I think I have all the maps somewhere in here. It's a very heavy box. And yeah, it's easy. It's fun. I like Downforce. Kind of a classic. All right, I got another Daniele Taschini game and David Turksey. Tekhenu, Obelisk of the Sun. I might be the only one of my friends who likes this game. Like, I actually painted the obelisk. I'll show you guys, because why not? All right. So yeah, we've got painted obelisk. Not like special, but it's got a dark side and a light side, so it works out. Yeah, this game's great. I really like it. I don't have the expansion. I don't think I'm ever going to get the expansion, actually, considering I don't really get this game to the table all that much. But I've played it like 6 or 7 times, so not too bad. I like it a lot, but oh well. Another T game. This one, Teotihuacan. I really like this game. The one thing about it, though, is I have all the expansions in here, and it makes it like almost impossible to get this game to the table because I have to go back through and like see what goes with what. But I've got everything sorted, so it's actually not too bad. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here, and it does take a lot of time to play. I really like it. It's on BGA also, so I really hate when games go on BGA because then I don't play them in real life. But also one thing about Teotihuacan that I want to mention is we played this game. We played Teotihuacan with all the expansion content in one game, and I actually ended up teaching one of the players that session. It was a miserable experience. Do not do that. Use just the base game. Don't add everything in. I don't know what we were thinking, but we just said it'll be fine, and it wasn't fine. It was terrible. All right. Terraforming Mars. Classic, of course. Everyone knows Terraforming Mars. This copy is very special to me because it was gifted to me by a friend who had passed away. So it was, it's kind of very sentimental to me. Terraforming Mars is one of those games that I started out not really enjoying, but I really got into it a little bit later, and it's really grown on me. Now it's up there with some of my favorite games, you know. It's just a fantastic game. A lot of people say they really like Ark Nova. I prefer Terraforming Mars. I think the board makes it more interesting. There's more interaction, and yeah, I kind of like that more. So anyway, Terraforming Mars. Not much else to say about that one. All right. Via Nebula. I already talked about this game. How did it get there? Ulm. So I got this one used. It's a Günter Burkhardt game. It's a very strange one. In this game, you're basically doing generic Euro things. There's like tokens you're putting out. Let's see if I can show you. You've got these like this grid of tiles, and you're gonna be drawing tiles out of the bag on your turn, and then you're gonna be pushing the tiles one way or another, and then you get to activate the tiles that are around the outside, I think. Or maybe it was in the row. It's something like that. You're like activating some of the tiles. It was like a cool mechanism, and I liked it. You're also like building this chapel church thing, and then your boats are moving along the river to get points. You know, generic stuff you'd expect, but it is a pretty interesting game. I've never really played anything quite like it, so it's still in my collection. I like it. It's a fun one. All right, Lacrimosa. It's gonna be really fun to put all these games back after this. Lacrimosa. All right. So Lacrimosa, definitely one of the prettiest boxes in my collection. This game is another Devir production. I have a bunch of Devir games. This one my friends call kind of like it's musical Dune Imperium, because there's deck building and there's also area control. And you have a kind of like reveal turn, but at the end of your turn, the things you've tucked under on the bottom, you're going to activate. It's kind of like your reveal turn in Dune Imperium. But you also tuck the top card to do top level actions. It's more or less the same system. And there's a couple of differences. And then there's like this area control thing with the notes, and you're trying to be in a majority among the like composers who you've selected to go there. So you want your composers to do well, their composers to do not so well. You're moving Mozart around this board and like recreating his life, I guess. There's the theme is extremely like, it's not, I don't say tacked on, but it's light. It's basically like mechanisms and mechanisms, but it is a lot of fun, and I keep it in my collection because it is gorgeous, and we do play it sometimes. So Lacrimosa is a fun one. Okay. Whistle Mountain. Whistle Mountain. I am also one of the only people in my group that sings the praises of Whistle Mountain, although a lot of my friends do really like this game. It's a worker placement game with a unique mechanism in that you're kind of like all working together to build this general engine. It's kind of like, it's not really an engine. It's kind of like a bunch of worker placement spaces. You're building these things, and then they become worker placement spaces for everybody. But you get points for doing that. And as the game progresses, as you build higher and higher, the water level starts to rise, and then you have your workers who are like chilling over here on the scaffold, and then they get washed away and you have to rescue them. It's a bit strange, but you have these like dirigibles and blimps, and those are your workers, and you're placing them down, and they either go on places or like next to them and activate stuff. It's pretty cool, like really fun game, and it's just one of those weird breezy worker placement games that everyone seems to have fun when they play. So I just never get rid of this one. I just think it's like so unique, so interesting, and yeah, I really like it. What's in there? Let's go here first. Trailblazer, the John Muir Trail. So Trailblazer is another worker placement game. I have a lot of worker placement games. This one has that weird mechanism where if you don't get to the end of the trail, you actually can't complete the game. So they're like moving down the John Muir Trail. If you can't get to the end, you can't win. But it's like a set collection game. You're collecting cards, these giant cards. You're collecting smaller cards to get sets. You're trying to put items into your backpack, which give you access to certain things. You know, it's pretty what you'd expect of a Euro, but it is a good game, and it's very smooth. There's some tight like resource management in it, and then there's like a really hard mode where you're supposed to play like 12 rounds, and like 2 of those rounds you have zeros, so you don't have to like hike. But you can play 10 rounds and make it so every round you have to hike, so it's a little bit more like urgent to get to the end. It's a fun game, like it. All right, Paleo. Paleo is not my game. I'm borrowing it from a friend, but I really liked it. We played this twice with the family, and we still have not beaten it. It's definitely one of those games where you start to learn the cards better after you've played it once. But we went into it completely blind, and did okay actually. The first time we didn't win, but we got to like 4 out of 5 points, and you're supposed to get 5 points to win, and we ended up like maybe like 1 or 2 actions from actually winning the game. The second time we didn't finish playing the game, we had to leave, but so we can't say we won it, but we were probably going to win that one. But yeah, it's a fun game. It's kind of like Robinson Crusoe, but a little bit lighter, a little bit more interesting, and yeah, it's got some really nice art, and you're flipping over cards and you're deciding what to do with them in as a group. So it's co-op. It's a co-op game. It's fun. Paleo. All right. Oh no, my stack of games is falling over. All right. Alma Mater. Alma Mater. What do I say about this? This is another Virginio Gigli game. The same Italian designer group that I really like. But this one didn't like get to the table very much. It's very similar to another game I have, Lorenzo Magnifico. And this one's extremely hard to teach. It's a little fiddly. You've got these like books, these amazing book pieces, and you like slide your shelves over and stuff like that, and then the prices of your books go down. But it does a lot of the same things that Lorenzo does. It's got worker placement in the same way. It's got like some tracks. You're hiring professors and stuff like that. It's quite fun, but it's also a little bit too... I don't know, it's like one of those games that are like a little too hard to set up and a little too hard to teach, but then the gameplay is kind of a middleweight game. So I don't know. I liked it a lot. Also has a cool economy, like you're actually using those books is like the economy of the game, and each of the players has a colored book, and so everyone's buying them from each other, which is kind of neat. Like I really like that kind of closed economy. It's not quite closed economy, but it's a cool concept for a Euro game. I enjoy that. Okay, I've cleaned this out. I have to put this back. All right. Zoo Vadis. Zoo Vadis is a new negotiation game that came out this last year. It's not really new, actually. It used to be called Quo Vadis, or Where Are You Going? This is Reiner Knizia. This is the remake of that. But it's basically new because no one played it before, because it was hard to find and it was obscure. And Reiner Knizia makes like 500 games every single year, and it's hard to keep up with that. But this one has floated to the surface. It is a pure negotiation game where you're trying to get your animals to the star exhibit and then collect as many points as possible. We just played it last night. It was a big hit. I'm going to do a review of that for the channel. But yeah, Zoo Vadis is very fun. Okay, Acquire. I mentioned this was my #1 game of 2023, kind of cheekily because I love Acquire anyway. But this is a great production. I'm really glad that I got this production. It's just nice. It pops on the table. It's easy to teach. Yeah, everything I wanted out of Acquire is in here. All right. First Rat. Love First Rat. This is a newer acquisition. This one... Oops. This one is all about getting your rats up this track. You're kind of moving them around and then donating pieces or food to the space effort. Your rats are trying to get to the moon because, of course, it's made of cheese. It's very fun. It's kind of like Family Weight Plus or Middleweight Minus, I guess. It has a lot of strategy for what it is, and I quite like it. I think it's a good breezy game, and it is a little bit like Thinkier the first time you play. You're introducing people. There's a lot of options, but yeah, I think it's a good one, and I'm keeping this one, so it's fun. That's First Rat. Underwater Cities. Oh, I love this game so much. Underwater Cities is kind of what I wished Terraforming Mars was when I wasn't super into Terraforming Mars. But Underwater Cities is a game that has some city building, kind of. You're building your underwater city. It has like kind of almost brass rules for building. You need to have, you're building your network. And it has hand management. It's worker placement, very, very tight worker placement. It's such that this is a game that my friends often swear at each other and me when we're playing it, because we often are blocking each other, and it's so imperative that you get a spot. Oh my god, this game is so much fun. And the New Discoveries expansion is awesome. The only thing I'd say about this set is that this game was like $70. The expansion was like $70, so I don't know how that exactly works. There's so much cardboard in them though. But the New Discoveries adds like new goals and cities you can put off to the side and kind of race for. It adds the museum board, which I never play without, and just new starting powers. So great game. I love Underwater Cities. All right. Okay, so we're almost to the end here. I've got a bunch of games in there, but Lowlands. So Lowlands was among the first Euro games that I purchased when I got into the hobby. It was probably the heaviest game at the time. It's a middleweight plus, medium plus, maybe medium Euro. It's a worker placement game, but you don't block anybody except for yourself. So it's very forgiving. But what you're doing in this game is you're making sheep farms. It's not a Uwe Rosenberg game, but it is Uwe Rosenberg collection. I don't know what that means exactly. It's kind of like an Uwe Rosenberg game. You're farming and you're putting out fences a la Agricola. You are also building this dike to keep the water out from flooding your lands, and you're doing this collectively. And so there's an interesting element of this game is you want the dike to be built, but you don't want to do the work. You want to be the last person to do the work because it costs extra money, extra resources, and you'd rather spend those resources on building buildings and things like that. So there's a little bit of heel dragging in this game, which I really like. It incentivizes table talk because the players around the table could use help. And you can actually, that's one of the cool mechanisms of it, is when you're building the dike, you can ask for help from other players. And they don't have to give it to you. So they can help, and then they'll get points and stuff. But yeah, if they otherwise, you can kind of like mess with people, and there's a little bit of that. So there's like your worker placement spaces and your farms. But yeah, it's really fun. This one is one of those games that has sentimental value to me, not just because it's one of the first Euros that I purchased, but it's one that my group got really, really into. And I think we still have been aching to play it. Like everyone says, like, oh yeah, Lowlands, we should play that again. So it's one of those games I've been wanting to get back to the table. It's just a pleasure to play, and yeah, so yeah, it's a great one. I highly recommend it. It's a fun game. All right, Castles of Burgundy. I have the Alea version. What do I need to say about this game? I actually had the second edition, but I sold it because it wasn't as good as this version. I think the Alea version, besides the like giant deluxe edition, which I don't have, this one is my preferred version. It's small, condensed. It does everything right. It has better imagery than the second edition. It's not as gaudy. But yeah, Castles of Burgundy is just a classic. You know, it's been played a lot. Oh god, Horseless Carriage. Oh, I love this game so much. This is the first Splotter I've ever owned, but not the first Splotter that I've ever played. I am a big fan of Food Chain Magnate. And I picked up Horseless Carriage because I've been following their production of it on Board Game Geek, and I love Joris and Jeroen's like style of design. I think that what they do is very interesting, and it caters to a heavier game mindset. I do really love heavier games. This game is a kind of an efficiency engine puzzle in a spatial sense, and then it's also a marketing like mess over your friends kind of game in another sense. But it's really fun. There's just a ton of cardboard in here. This one I've gotten to the table and want to get back to the table because it's so fun, and it's a big hit for me. But yeah, I need some more plays with this one. Barrage, oh my goodness. Another Simone Luciani game. This one with Tommaso Battisti, and this one is, I just talked to my friend about this the other day. I was like, this game is so mean and so hard that if you're introducing new players, you might as well you might as well just introduce 4 new players and let them play, because if you know what you're doing in this game, you can just crush people and in a way that's maybe not so fun and not the best way to introduce people. But if you're playing with people who know what they're doing and know Barrage, then this is one of the best games out there. It's a route building game, basically, with you're kind of like building up these dams and trying to leech power from people. It's kind of like a weird quasi past future steampunk-esque thing. And you got this neat wheel that you're turning in order to get your you basically put your resources in here and you turn it, and then they're gone until they come back out of the wheel. So you're trying to figure out how best to manage your resources, because there are no other resources. They're very small amount of resources you can get in this game. So very interesting mechanisms, lots of fun. It doesn't get to the table as much anymore because it's on BGA. And I mean, if things are on BGA, it's really easy to just play them on BGA, especially with setup with that game is a little high. All right, let's check out this section over here. First things first, Furnace. It's a engine builder. I like to say that this is the fun part of Wingspan. Not a knock on Wingspan, but I love the engine building part of Wingspan and not so much the set collection part of Wingspan. And yeah, it's a little bit of a bidding game mixed with that kind of engine builder. But turning resources and other resources to get points. It's pretty breezy, it lasts almost an hour, and it plays up to 5 with the expansion, which I have right here. Oh gosh. Which I recommend. The expansion is very good. Okay. The White Castle. Oh boy, Devere, you're really making some great games here. I love The White Castle. We just played it As of this recording, I played it last night. It was a big hit. It's a $40 Euro game that's more thinky and more interesting than you would expect. It's for this box size. Very amazing what they fit into this box. The components are gorgeous. The art is gorgeous. It's a little busy of a board, but it's not too bad. And it plays really, really well at 4 players, 3 players, and 2 players. I'm a big fan. I think the White Castle is a huge hit, and if I had played it before my top 10 of last year list, this probably would have been on it. So just as a note, White Castle, very, very good. I have 2 games set in the Edo period of Japan. That's kind of cool. All right, War Chest. War Chest. This is another Trevor Benjamin and David Thompson game. Trevor Benjamin, of course, did Mandala, and he did a bunch of other things too. So these guys, this duo might be my favorite duo working in board gaming. War Chest is an abstract bag builder where you draft units and you have unique units, and you're basically trying to control points on a board, but the strategy is extremely deep. This is on BGA, so check it out. It's a great implementation on BGA, and you could play 2 versus 2, which is my favorite way to play. Playing in teams is just amazing. Do it. It's super fun. Dune. Oh, Dune. I have all the expansions in here, although one of the boxes is missing. I don't know what I did with it, but it's all in here. All the expansions, all 10 houses. No, 12 houses. And yeah, what can I say about Dune? It's just such a great game. More to come about that one. More Devir goodness. 3 Ring Circus. 3 Ring Circus is another small box game from Devir, same company that brought you The White Castle, and also Lacrimosa. Great stuff coming from them. And this one is another really like budget-esque game with area control. It's got some tableau building. It's by Fabio Lopiano, who did Merv, and there's another game that's coming out, Sankore, the something of Masamusa. I don't remember that one. That's a new one that's coming out, Sankore. He also did that one, but 3 Ring Circus is kind of like, he did this one. It's not like one of his big box games, but it's still really good and really fun. So highly recommend 3 Ring Circus, especially if you're kind of more on the medium light end of the spectrum. It's kind of a medium light game, but fun. All right, Goblet Gobblers. This is my kids' game, but it's tic-tac-toe variant. It's actually a great tic-tac-toe variant for what it is. Nidavellir. Nidavellir is a set collection game. Has one of the most annoying rule books I've ever read because it refers to everything in its terms. So like players are, I don't remember what they're called in this game. Let's see. I can't remember, but like players are given a different name. They're not called players, they're called something else. And it's very annoying. But anyway, yeah, so you're basically drafting these dwarves from these taverns, and then you have these coins that you're using to bid for them. And then you can switch out your coins for bigger ones. And so as you go, your coins get bigger. This is on BGA, and unfortunately for my physical copy, the BGA version is vastly superior for a number of reasons. One, because it has all the rules of what the cards do on it, which is, you're always looking that up. And 2, you can track the score. Scoring this up is like doing algebra at the end of the game. Which I don't usually mind, but it's so much easier once you play it on BGA just to like have it automatically tallied that I have not touched this version of the game since then. So I almost think that this is a case of where the digital version killed the physical game for me. That's really unfortunate because I really like this game. Oh well. What can you do? All right. Hegemony. Oh my gosh. Or maybe my new favorite game. Maybe at least one of my newest favorite games. Hegemony is a massive economic simulation of the classes. You have one person playing the state, one playing the capitalists, one playing the working class, one playing the middle class. And it's just amazing. This game is very long. 180 minutes is maybe even short. We played it and we haven't finished it in like 5 hours. It's if you have a lot of people who want to min-max the game, it's going to take a while. But it is a very over-the-board game. Lots of what's going on in this game is happening in discussion, and there's deals being made and things like that. Really fantastic game. It's climbing my list of things that I just want to play over and over again. I played it twice now, but never finished a game. We're very close to finishing one online, but I'll have more about Hegemony soon. All right, The Rich and the Good, Haben Gut. This was on my top 10 games of 2023. It's a reprint of an old game that did not make it to the States, but man, is it so good. I love stocks games, and this is probably my favorite pure stocks games. That doesn't include Acquire, because Acquire is not a pure stock game, but this is like a pure stock game. So fun, so easy to teach, and so easy to play. Love it. Oh boy. If you've never played Imperial Steam, it's probably because you're not a heavy board gamer, because this is one of the heaviest games I have in my collection, besides like Hegemony. Imperial Steam is a train game, a route building game, where you're trying to make deliveries to cities, and you're building up your railway network. This is a heavy game. It kind of works like a worker placement game, but you never block anyone but yourself. But with that said, it's an economic game, first and foremost, and you have to like make sure what you're doing is going to profit you so that you can make more money later on, and in doing so, win the game. This is a game where most money wins, but oh my god, this is such a fun game. It's one of those games when I teach it to people, after they play it, some of them go like, I have no idea what I was doing, but I enjoyed it. And others saying like, I think that broke my brain. So a game like this, I think this has a special place in my collection. I love train games, and this is also up there with one of my favorite train games of all time. So I just love it. I love everything about it. I wish there were some more expansion stuff for it. There was like a mini expansion. They released like a promo thing. I have that in here. But yeah, just really great Imperial Steam. If you want to know more about that, I'll tell you about it later in another video. All right, over here we have Anno 1800. Anno 1800. Martin Wallace. I like this game. We played it a bunch of times. I think I played it like maybe 12 times. Some of those plays were online, but I really enjoyed this game. I think it's just hits a lot of the buttons that I like in board games. It plays a lot like very complicated Splendor in a way, but there's lots of interaction. I'm looking forward to the expansion that's coming out that hopefully revitalizes it a little bit and makes it a little bit more I don't know, a little better for 4 players, and uses some of those resources that you never use. So that was one of my big complaints with it. Lorenzo il Magnifico. So actually this is Lorenzo le Magnifique. I got this game in Saumur, France. It was at the tail end of a biking trip I had. I did a biking trip through the Loire Valley, and I stopped at the game shop in Saumur, and they had Lorenzo, and I didn't have this game at the time, obviously, but I was interested because this is it's Lorenzo le Magnifique, not Il Magnifico, and I was surprised and shocked that the entire box would be reprinted in French, and so it captivated me, and I wanted to have this version of the game. So I have this French version of the game that I love, and it also is by some of my favorite designers, Virginio Gili, Flaminia Brasini, and Simone Luciani, who have done some of the great games I've already shown you today. So other great ones in here. I mean, this is among the best worker placement games out there. It's not tabled as much as I used to table it, but it is has a very important part in my gaming collection, because it was one of the first heavier worker placement games that I got. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Lorenzo. Yeah, I love it. All right, 1830. So 1830, Railways and Robber Barons. This is a classic Francis Tresham game. This is my only 18xx game that I own. Not because I don't want to own more of them, but because they're hard to get to the table for me. I like a lot of train games, but this is the one that I've learned 18xx on. It's also a very mean game, but I quite love it. This one is also the new Lookout version with some improved visuals. The board's really nice, and that sort of thing. So, yeah, that's 1830. I have a copy of Twilight Struggle. Everything's upside down today. Twilight Struggle, The Cold War, 1945-1989. I don't play the physical version that much anymore because the digital version is just so good. And that did in some ways kill it for me. But I still sometimes get this to the table, mostly when I have like one friend over and we just want to play a really heavy tug of war game. But it's not common. It's a great war game. Clans of Caledonia. So this is the heaviest game I had purchased up to my board gaming life at the time. Clans of Caledonia is a action selection, area control, economic stocks game set in Scotland. And it's great. Like, I love this game. It's not really a stocks game, but it has like a market that goes up, which is kind of like stock. So it plays like that. But yeah, this is in that kind of vein of like Gaia Project and those kinds of games where you've got these grids that you're controlling with pieces and you know, spreading out over the board and that sort of thing. It's very similar in a lot of ways. Shares some DNA, but it's a little bit more economic. This is just the Lorenzo Houses of the Renaissance box. There's like nothing in here. I don't know why it's in my list of stuff. Pandemic. I have a copy of Pandemic. That is almost everything. I have a couple of games my kid has down here. Outfoxed, Ticket to Ride First Journeys. This is Monopoly Junior. And then we have Kids Chronicles, the Quest for the Moonstones, as well as that other Micro Macro, and a bunch of stuff in there. There's a train. It's like a rush hour train game. So yeah, that kind of does it. That's the collection, which is now partially on the floor and all over the place. You might have noticed that I changed shirts during this. It's because it's being filmed over several days, and I just keep getting distracted and interrupted while I'm filming this. But yeah, so that's my collection. I have some other stuff that is not currently in this shelf, on this shelf. Namely, like I have a copy of Carcassonne, I have a copy of Living Forest, Scotland Yard, Tonari, and a couple others that I have been basically loaned out to others. So those aren't here. I also have a couple of other minor games I'd consider like things I don't play anymore that were like mass market. I have a copy of Starfares of Catan somewhere in the house. One of the old version, not the new one. I have a copy of Smash Up and stuff like that. So there's some other like, you know, very casual mass market games that are not in my bread and butter collection. And so this is that though. This is where all that stuff is, and now it's all on the floor. But yeah, that's all my collection. I hope that was fun to watch. I hope you enjoyed that tour. If you would like to know a little bit more about any of these given games, please let me know in the comments. And yeah, I'll see you on the next video. Take care.